howdy my gentle humans. Welcome back to my channel. This is Diana Chu here at Slowgaze. We're here for another Slowgazathon video, but we're also here for another colorful makeup look. And by makeup look, I mean eye makeup look. I have an affinity for palettes, for pigments, for putting it all over my eyes, and I do have way too much makeup, but I'm trying to celebrate it and let that be a source of inspiration. Right now, we're in the purples. I know that purples are quite popular. Join me for the rest of Slowgazathon. We're going up until Christmas this year, doing back-to-back videos every single day. A mix of decluttering, minimalism journey. My whole channel is about slowing down and gazing inwards, but part of that is slowing down and gazing at what you have, celebrating it and celebrating sort of your thoughts around it and your evolution with a product. So thank you to everyone who has been supporting me and commenting down below. I do read every single comment, even if I haven't gotten to liking it or loving it or commenting back. It is because the schedule of posting every day does mean that I'm editing most of the time versus being able to connect with you. And so just know that I'm out here watching and reading. Let's not make this a 30-minute video on putting eye colors onto my face. Let's dive in without further ado. Zoom you in and let's talk about palettes. I want to show you everything that we have in the arsenal today. There are several more than I was even planning on. Turns out I have a lot of purple, and I suspect most people do because purple is so flattering. And I think it's really great for brown eyes. Melt Cosmetics came out with this thinner, smaller palette. It's kind of the same size as their Smoke Sessions palette, but it is all a 1 octave is how I like to think of it. 1 octave of purples, but they're gothic purples. And at first I didn't quite understand what that meant, but these are super blackened. They're like burnt plums. There's a lot of gray down here, browny black in that. And then we even have a rusty red that does feel kind of that aged burgundy velvet feeling, and things that are slightly morbid leaning. You got that dusty, almost gray toned lilac, which I think can be a little bit scary on someone who has very olive skin because it can wash you out. This and this shade though, these two shimmers are so special, and they really pull everything together. They really make or break this palette. So I'll show you why in a sec. I've never featured this eyeshadow palette on my channel, and then it was decluttered, basically. I just found it to be way too chalky. I guess this middle row here, if you look at just the mattes, which is just these three, and then this here, there's so much white in them, you can't get like a deeper feeling from them, and then you go straight to this like vortex blackened plum shade, and it just feels like there's no good mid-range. Yes, there are these two shades, but I feel like they're also a little bit chalky. This color story I don't really use, and then once you take that away, I was left with a lot of pinks, one coral, and then this really strange but beautiful blackened color. But then once I take that away, it's all in this mid-range purple, pink, and mauve tones. And I'm like, I don't know why I need this palette around. I do enjoy Huda's shimmers. They're a little bit more foiled. So overall, I never reached for this palette, and I figured let's do a last hurrah. I will still pass it along, but it will feature in this video. Then we have the Pat McGrath Labs Mothership Divine Rose palette. God, it's so beautiful. It really is a beautiful palette. Think of it as a pink palette, but when I really start to swatch these, I think these two colors are in the realm of orchids and a nice, true, skin tone friendly purple and pink. They're really flattering tones, as is this, and it feels like a nice warmer story. So I really enjoy this. I'm gonna dive into, I think, some of these orchidy shades. This trichrome is just insane. Every time I see it, I just want to eat it. Not gonna eat it. Back to this Real Fantasy palette. I mean, now we're playing in this realm, and I can't get my eyes off of that shade in particular. We're gonna have to dip into that. It doesn't seem like there are any other shades in my collection that speak as true a purple as that. Prince would be proud. And then of course the Lila palette. I'm gonna open her up, but she's gonna look very different from what you're used to seeing because I revamped all of this. And it's a hybrid between the Tropical palette, also from Natasha Denona, some of the Sunset palette. Just kept neutrals that worked for me. I kept a few bricky reds that I love and I want to do a look on. And then these to me were the special purples. Yeah, I guess this one too, but this one feels like it has that shift and it reads actually pretty red in person. But back to these. If you're looking at these and you're like, hey Diana, these are a little chalky, I would agree. I think this pink does have a little bit too much white in it for me to really want to use, but it's a nice base or transition for these stronger colors. That's kind of how I conceived of this. Same here. This is a really tough color for me. It's so blue that it makes me look like I've been punched in the face like a week ago and it's still bruising over. The silvery one is special. It has a little bit of almost red in it. Red, hot red, burnt red, and then silver and pink and purple. So I just threw a bunch of color words at you. This is the one that I want to go in with. So maybe this and the Real Fantasy Trance shade start a look. I'm gonna do this a little unconventionally. I'm just kind of experimenting here. Not even gonna go in with my clips today because I did put on my face makeup first. I am wearing Tower 28's Oat on my lips and then this Salt NYC palette, which I raved about in my last video. Still love the finish that my skin is showing today. It's glowy, but it has that nice, like, kind of believable finish. Not sure what to do with my hair. Maybe I'll just tuck it back and let's dive into a little bit of experimentation. Now, I don't want every single look that I do to be completely the same, so this is really me just playing around. I don't have any authority to say, like, this is how you should do it, but this is how I do it on my eyes. I don't put on a lot of colorful looks. I don't like the attention that it brings, but when I do it, I always feel fierce and I feel like I am wearing my outer ego. These two Marc Jacobs gel highlighter pens, crayons, I guess, out of the blue, which I used in my blue video, and then Fine Wine. So I'm going to mix these two. And I want to start with eyeliner because for some reason it makes sense. And if you have watched my other videos from the Slowgazathon like mini challenge, you'll see that I'm really not careless about things, but a little bit more laissez-faire when it comes to the application, especially in the first few steps, because I know it'll get tweaked, it'll move around. And so you can see that they just mixed optically. It's not something that I put on a palette and then mix the perfect one tone shade of purple. But the beauty of this is that we also have the powder eyeshadows to then put into the mix. So what I learned from my other blue makeup eye look was that I really like a hot kind of that cobalt right near my lash line. So I am gonna start straight in with this Trance shade from the Claropsyche palette. And I'm going to layer that on top of this concoction that we have. Just smudge it all out and make it read purple. Not going to be extremely even again, but I don't mind it at this point. This Princess and Amethyst shade, this is calling to me, this combo, and I want to put that near my inner corner on my lower lash line, and I'm just going to pick it up with my pinky, as I'm apt to do, and just run it along and complete that shape. Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted to bring some brightness and just to shift that from a strict purple code. Okay, before I get too far down the line, I do want to do, I think, a halo eye today. So usually I do that with this palette here. Let's not deviate too far from that. Total Immortal, which is that scary shade to me in the middle right there. And I'm gonna pick it up and go straight, building up a little bit of color on my middle lid. So creamy, it is blending out really nicely. It's just looking creamy, it's not looking dead. Last Caress, and then I'm gonna move down the line. So Last Caress, which is that matte, then I'm gonna move down the line to these two, which have some shimmer in them, but they are a little bit deeper and they're gonna help me build this halo eye that I want. Still using just Last Caress, but I will move down the line. And I just want to connect both of these to start making that halo eye. And then now moving on to Sleepwalk, which is the second deepest shade. Has a lot of shimmer to it, but also has red. Finally going into Mean Streak, Blackened Void deep shade. And that's what I mean. Like, I look at this shade and I'm very inspired and I feel like the pigment is going to perform. But then when I look at the Huda Beauty Vortex shade, it flattens out. Why don't I do a head-to-head right now for you? We have that Vortex shade right here and this Mean Streak shade. Maybe they're very similar in my head, but not actually similar in real life. Cool toned over here from the Huda and then warm toned over here from Melt, but it's just, they're both in my mind as like dark shades. But can you see? This is the Huda and then this is the Melt. There's just so much more richness here. Just saying, if you're gonna put one single dark shade in here, I want it to really, really grab me and suck me into this black hole. I think I can say goodbye to this She's in Parties palette for the time being. And let's move into a couple other palettes before I run out of room and I can't use anything else. Lila palette, or what's left of it. I really think this is the Xena shade from the Tropical palette. And then I'll go into this as well. So the first one is the Pastelly shade. That's gonna go straight into the center of the eye and just really lightly covering all the bare skin that I had left there and also just melding. I know this is looking a little bit uneven, but I will address it. Then I wanna go into this shade here with the same finger and just build in a little bit more true purple color near the edges of the halo. Now what's left is like a whole layering system. I'm just gonna go a bit bonkers and pick up both this shade here and then a little bit of this shade here. I'm gonna stick that on right on top, right in the center. It's giving me a nice sheen, but it's not too dramatic yet. And then I'm gonna dip in slightly to this ultraviolet shade here in the Huda palette. That's a nice cool toned purple and it's just gonna push the purple. I talked smack about it, but let's use it. Let's just go for the Vortex shade, even everything out with this formula. I just tapped on a little bit more of this Trance shade. I cannot imagine how this was made. It is so electric, so vibrant, even on a deep shade or just skin, it's performing like how you see it in the pan, and I'm really enjoying this formulation. This is one of the palettes of all the ones that I've revived so far that if I wanted to keep it, this would be a high candidate. I think it's really rekindled my love for this and it has helped me understand how to use these colors again. Granted, I'm not going to just say, yes, I'm gonna keep it right away. I might still keep it in the purgatory pile or the decluttered pile to see if it can go to a better home, because in actuality, I don't use these shades all that often, but when I do, I would be happy to reach for it. So that's my dilemma right now. I do want to end this with some gold, so you just cannot get away from that shade there, that sunny, yolky yellow. So I'm gonna bring a little bit of this coppery color, then go in with the gold, and then maybe go into that. So moving down the line with the baby pinky, we're gonna do it. Uh-oh, I like it. Uh-oh, I like it. Oh boy, it's really nice. And this is just that copper shade. Oh boy, it's moving out. Oh, I'm really glad I did that. That's bringing in a lot more light because it's so close to my skin tone and it's picking up on the blush color. It just makes my eyes open up even more and make that shape even more dramatic. So now let's do the gold. Let's just not stop there. Oh boy. It's just so pretty. It's like a fallen star. Man, what we can do with just some pigment, huh? And our fingers. Let's not mess around and go for the gold just on the center. This look does warrant mascara. Let's do it. And then I'm gonna take a good hard look at myself in the mirror. Be right back. All right, I have the Lash Freak from Urban Decay. She's still holding strong. She's doing great for me. And this is one of those traditional mascaras that I would buy again. After taking a look at all of this, I do want to go in with a little bit of inner corner, the Skeleton's Kiss shade in the Melt Cosmetics She's in Parties palette, and why I think it's so, so special. So we'll do that, and then I might put a little bit on my Cupid's bow, and then we'll call it good. So my fingers on my right hand are filthy. But let me show you these two shades from the Melt Cosmetics. So Skeleton's Kiss right here. I guess it doesn't look too crazy in this way. This is Strange Love on the side here, and I don't know how to explain it to you other than they are toppers. Like the Strange Love is that nice shimmery topper shade that's just going to bridge any deep pigment in this palette. Also this, but this side, it's going to sit on top of it and really make it shine. Whereas this is not a topper shade. To me, it's more of a, I wanted to say lamination shade, but I think it's because it does have glitter, and it's a gold peachy glitter, but then it also sets down a really nice pearly finish in a true peach shade. So I was surprised to see that in this palette because it seemed, you know, cool toned. Then we had that hot red, that bricky red, and then a blackened plum. And then on top of that, there's like this beautiful, like sunny peachy shade that's just like, hi, I'm here. And I wasn't quite sure what to make of it until I put it on my skin, and it makes the perfect luminous, youthful, like life-bringing shade. And I am just gonna pat that into my inner corners here. Oh, can you see that? I don't have prominent inner corners, so it's not gonna be that like bang, one little polka dot of white spot, but there is a little shift and in my contours that helps bring that out. Fiery peach is how I want to call it. It's really bringing out pink and gold and bringing out a little bit of personality into my inner corners. And then, as I mentioned, Cupid's bow, and then right in the center there, I guess. She's done. So many thanks to you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this series. I hope this has inspired you to maybe not only shop your stash, but go into bolder looks, bring out the playfulness, and move away from minimalism once in a while. I will see you tomorrow in my next video. Take care until then. Adios.
Please handle this side up. You got me upside down. Should only feel this much.